All right. So whether you like it or not, I tell people for learning ROS is a lot of headache can be gotten rid of when you know more, when you're more comfortable with the command line. So ROS was made in generally around a lot of command line tools. They do have visual tools as well. I know the command line tools because that's what I learned. They aren't super complicated commands or anything, but a lot of them are just knowing what the heck the commands are and being comfortable with those. So understanding what commands to run when is most of the difficulty I've found. So I already have ROS installed, and I have a ton of different folders here, but none of them will matter. So the first command that you'll probably ever want to run is something called ROS core, and you won't be able to run it. You'll install ROS. So this is literally following the ROS tutorials right after. Let me go to the ROS tutorials here. Where is the, here we go. I'm starting right after installing and configuring your ROS environment. And I'm going to skip half of these tutorial things. So the reason for that is an environment variable thing. When you do print environment variables and you grep for path, you get a bunch of different path variables. If you aren't familiar with what the actual path variable is, this is one of the most important variables inside of your command line. You can think of it as a variable as part of your bash system. It's a bunch of different folders, and that's how you essentially, when you run things in the command line, how it finds programs. So if I export path to nothing, now you'll notice I can't do ls, I can't do a bunch of different commands because these are essentially little programs in one of these folders inside of this path. And now my path is basically screwed up. And when you screw up your path, it's really sad. So when you're installing things, a lot of the time, the issues end up in one of your path variables. There are multiple, this being the top level path variable. This will make more sense once I start going to ROS package paths and stuff. So I'm just gonna get rid of this terminal because I'm too lazy to fix the path manually. All right, so when you can't run ROS core, what you'll need to do is source ROS, or opt ROS, and then whatever your distribution of ROS is that you installed. I'm using ROS Indigo, which is a very old distribution of ROS. Let me see if I have the other distributions right here. ROS distribution. So there are many different types of ROS distributions. The one I'm using is all the way back from 2014. The reason for this is my robot is all coded on ROS Indigo, so I'm not going to upgrade it because I'm a PhD student. I don't care about security or new updates. I just want to graduate. If your robot doesn't already have ROS installed and you want to use ROS packages, use the recommended LTS version, which is long-term support, which will be noetic. And that will be on Ubuntu 20.04. Do not do it on 20.10 because it's not supported on 20.10. LTS means it's going to be supported for 5 years, I believe, along with Ubuntu 20. So I'm on ROS Indigo, and you want to source your opt ROS Indigo setup.bash. And now, if I do print and ROS, we have all these new ROS variables in our environment. And if, where's the, here we go. ROS package path is going to be your friend for figuring some of your issues out with seeding to packages and stuff. If you notice, it's opt ROS Indigo share. So if we actually go there, opt ROS Indigo share, here are all of your ROS packages that get installed when you do, I think I did a desktop full install. Ooh, so many. They're just folders with scripts and binaries in them. So there's no magic, right? So they'll show you how to ROS CD to different packages. So like let's ROS C to ROS Pi. And all that is just a folder that was inside of the share folder. And that was found through your ROS package path. Right here. It also changes your path and adds opt ROS indigo bin, which, long story short, and you'll see this is where all of your ROS commands live. So if you're having lots of problems, it's probably because your path is not necessarily set up correctly. So now what you'll notice in here, there is a ROS core, and I can run ROS master URI, or a ROS master. Localhost, why can I not run a ROS core? So, oh, there's already another.
Wait,
yes.
To make sure that we're on the same page with everyone here, could you just like give us like a TLDR of like what happened, like the very high level summary? Because people can like look back and reference these commands, but I want to make sure everyone's like on the same page about it.
Yep. So our goal is to run ROS core, which will get us that ROS master program running. And to do anything, you need one ROS master running somewhere. And a lot of the commands that I just went over that seemed semi-arbitrary and long-winded is debugging, figuring out why you can't run ROS core. The end solution is to source your opt ROS, whatever the distribution name is here. Mine is indigo, and then setup .bash. This will allow you to basically run ROS commands. And it's also the reason you'll see what they'll tell you to do in the ROS tutorials is to put in your bash RC source opt ROS indigo because every time you open up your terminal, the .bash RC runs. So, does that make sense? So we need to run a ROS core to do anything. And I'm gonna run in the background. That's what the ampersand does. So it throws it into the background. And now we have a ROS master running. We have no other programs running, but we have the core of the whole system. Any questions? All right. So now that we have a ROS core running, we can look at what ROS topics are running or what ROS topics. By default, you'll have a ROS out and ROS AGG. You can look at exactly what they are, but basically these are just default for logging and stuff like that. And we're going to write programs that essentially publish and subscribe to these messages. Run turtle sim. By the way, in the command line, if you don't know this, tab is your friend. If you're wondering how all this stuff is popping up, it's because I'm double hitting tab. It's autocomplete. It's like what I hit probably 2/3 of the time when I'm in the terminal. Turtle sim node. So this is what you'll first run whenever you run ROS, is they'll have you run a turtle sim, which you can think of this as your robot. And this robot is publishing certain topics to it. So let me just put another terminal over here. So now we have new topics. We have the command bell, we have a color sensor, and we have pose. So what that looks like is ROS run So we have our TurtleSim package with one node of TurtleSim that's pubbing multiple different topics. Questions. There are a lot of questions, I think, in the chat.
Oh, I don't think these are questions. I think these, I just put a link for TurtleSim in the chat and then other useful terminal tips.
Okay. So we're going to run another package. ROS run TurtleSim. By the way, TurtleSim is just a ROS package, which is essentially a set of ROS nodes and programs. So we can ROS CD to TurtleSim. And this is in that share folder with all the things. And what's the TurtleSim? Yeah, ROS run TurtleSim. And tally up. I'm going to make one more here. Whoop. Echo turtle1 pose. All right, so we can echo a topic. This is currently what's being published constantly. It's basically a while loop of ones being published by the turtle bot here, the cute little turtle. And we have one other ROS program running over here, which we can do arrow keys and move the turtle, otherwise known as teleop or teleoperation. And you'll notice that this echoing we're doing of this topic is changing. And that is because the pose of the turtle that's being published constantly is changing. So let me just do a ROS run RQT graph. Here we go. Beautiful. So here's one of the visual tools that I very rarely use, but is super helpful for debugging things. We have this teleop, which is this up here. And when we put an arrow key, it'll publish, which is this green arrow, over to turtle1 command val, which turtle1 is subscribing, or yeah, subscribing to. And where is, we'll just run to TurtleSim, change the turtlebot pose, and publish out. I'm actually unsure of what this topic is, this little one down here. This is kind of the idea. You can have one ROS package or set of nodes running here and another set doing the rest of your work. I'll just write the program for publish subscriber and it'll make a lot more sense. Any question on that? That's the TurtleSim that will normally be shown to you.
What is the turtle? What's the difference between TurtleSim node and TurtleSim op, or the other one that you ran?
TurtleSim node and what?
Because you ran two programs, right? Like you started with TurtleSim node, and then you ran like the ROS run TurtleSim op, or the second.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So this ROS node here, the TurtleSim node, is responsible for creating this window and publishing. Yeah. Subscribing, ROS topic info, everything that starts with TurtleSim1, it essentially is either subscribing to or publishing. So the TurtleSim node is subscribing to this TurtleSim command val. And if we do a ROS topic pub, TurtleSim command val, and we send a command over to this thing directly, it'll move over here. So this little program I wrote, or little command I wrote here, is kind of like a short and sweet little program to publish directly to the TurtleSim node, or the TurtleSim command val, which the TurtleSim node is listening to. I think what might help the most is just creating our own publishers and subscribers to answer kind of what the heck all of the complicated turtle sim looks like. Any other questions before I do that?